City of Stevens Point Personnel Committee meeting, recorded April 10th, 2023.
All right, Personnel Committee will be called to order at 6:48. Would you like to call our roll?
Sure. Zerazua.
Here.
Dalton.
Here.
Shuda.
Here.
Shore.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
You are all present.
Perfect. All right, first, item number 2 on our agenda is an update on water, wastewater, and airport manager compensation evaluations. I'm guessing this is Director Lemke.
Yes, and this is just an update. No action tonight. As they say in Shantytown, give her Yazda.
Yeah, so there'll be some data coming out of a study that might be in front of you next week. Took the same item to the commissions today, utility and airport, just because there is other action here tonight. I want to be clear, we knew about this. We've been preparing for this. We're cooperating in this. This is all very good and logical stuff later on, and just recognizing it's a cooperative action more than anything. So more to come on that, but thumbs up right now tonight.
Anything you wanted to touch on in your memo? Anybody have questions for the
Yeah,
director?
anybody got questions? I'll touch on anything in there. It really started, we have several positions that I was wanting to seek some kind of reclass stuff on. At the same time, we have a very large industry data set that points to just about every position in the department in the same amount of effort, right? So what we're doing is having the handful of positions that were identified as potentially problematic evaluated, but in the scope of more to see, well, where's everybody else at? Because the data was there. So they're taking that and they're using our predetermined comparables out there and identifying where there's some issues and where there's not. I've seen the data and of course I've used it and kind of summarized it from the industry data we have, but now they're putting the usual other data in that we use for our matrix and our pay plan and our market rate study stuff. So that's where this all kind of was born out of, and when I have the results, I will bring them forward.
And one more, Director, because I don't think anyone that's on council currently was around when we contracted our FBO. Can you explain that a little bit, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So fixed base of operations is at an airport, what we call an FBO, where most of the things that are kind of service-oriented come from, like fuel sales, like the arrangement of this, like do you have other services on field that might involve mechanics and stuff like that. You're kind of working a different business than the airport business, because an airport in and of itself is subject to state and federal oversight. It's a big asset in and of itself. There's a lot of operational overhead there. And so in most airports, in fact, most of the capital, I don't know anybody else who actually does it the way we do, they contract their FBO. And so, and we used to. I think it goes back somewhere 15 to 20 years ago. But that service costs about $35,000 to $45,000 a year. You give that to the FBO operator, and then they get the rest of their revenue by way of fuel sales, because you buy it for this and sell it for this, right? I mean, there's some profit in that. We do that in-house with the same staff. And so looking at that through a slightly different lens than we used to is kind of important, because the other thing where we get a little thrown off is the fact that even though our airport is here in Stevens Point, and they're both great, the city that you're associated with doesn't really describe your airport. A good example of that is Rhinelander. They're a commercial airport. They have commercial service in and out. Has very little bearing on their city, right? Rhinelander's smaller than we are. They have, Rice Lake, another large GA airport, and we're grouped in with large GA. GA means general aviation. When you don't have scheduled traffic, you're not commercial. When you do have scheduled traffic, you're commercial. And everybody else is GA, and they group that into large, medium, small GA. We're among the largest 3 or 4 general aviation airports in the entire state. And so you get grouped into airports that are like size, but the communities are not like size. You know, we could be in there with Racine, Oshkosh on the bigger side, Rice Lake on the smaller side, and Stevens Point. All the airports are very similar, their host cities are not, right? So some of that data that may have needed a little more like explanation, they've got the explanation, so they're looking at it. Again, I don't have results, but I'll bring them when I do.
Awesome. Thank you for giving the historical perspective to that, too.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing that in May. All right. Item number 3, we have a request to create deputy fire marshal position in the fire department, which was approved by the Police and Fire Commission in 2022. So, Chief Moody, thank you for the supporting documents to lead us in this conversation.
Not a problem. So on behalf of the City Fire Department, I'm here following Administrative Policy 204. I'd like to create the new position within the Stevens Point Fire Department titled Deputy Fire Marshal/Inspector. They will also serve as the EM coordinator for the City of Stevens Point as well.
EM is Emergency Manager.
Emergency Manager. I received approval from the PFC, or Police and Fire Commission, at the November 1st, 2022 meeting to proceed with this position. Baker Tilly has done a complete PAQ, position analysis questionnaire, of the position as well. It was graded out as a K, which I feel is a little light for the requirements we will be asking this position to handle. A stipend will also be provided to this individual as the new emergency management coordinator under the fire chief's direction. As you can see in the request letter written, a need for the position actually exists from the fire department personnel, so that the fire department personnel can continue with day-to-day training and maintain a constant state of readiness. Also, since the initial position was created in the Bureau 4 years ago, the division chief, we have seen a 25 to 45% increase in work just in the last 4 years. We have gone from 1,100 fire inspections to 1,900 fire inspections annually. This person will also serve as an investigator when fires occur within the city. Under a signed MOU with the City of Stevens Point Police Department, we will have a team approach which will conduct investigations on those scenes. This individual would also be working in conjunction with the Department of Criminal Investigation and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms when needed. This person will also be working in the division on public education, and especially during EMS month, which is coming up next month in May, and Fire Prevention Month in October. As you can see in the job description, the deputy fire marshal's job description is very similar of that of the division chiefs. We will expect that this position will primarily be doing code enforcement and out doing inspections on a day-to-day basis. Again, helping with those fire investigations when the time arises, and public education. Also, this person will be either working 4-10s or 5-8s. We have not decided within the department what they will be working as far as their work schedule per week, but it'll be 40 hours a week. With the emergency management coordinator position attached to this, 1 day a week will be dedicated to emergency management functions within the City of Stevens Point. This person will be working with other departments and making sure that people are trained in ICS 100, 200, 700, and 800. Potentially our department heads having additional training as well, so that when they have to respond to these types of emergencies or incidences, they are trained and know what we are looking for as professionals here in the City of Stevens Point. Now, the big question, you ask, how is this position going to be funded? Well, this position is going to be funded under the long-term contract that has been created between the Stevens Point Fire Department and the Village of Park Ridge to provide fire suppression to their village through 2025. After that, we'll be going back to the village to look for a 5-year contract from 2025 to 2030. And that's how we will continue to fund this position. Also, by taking over the village, we have had an increase on fire inspections in their village as well. Also, along with that, we've had additional fire calls in their area. So this person would be dedicated to assist the village in those needs that they may have as those things arise as well. Any other questions regarding the creation of the new position or what it'll be doing or how we are going to fund the position? All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay, thank
the
you.
new position.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion.
I think it's a very appropriate step. We do have increased needs because of the fact we're undertaking inspections and providing protection for the Village of Park Ridge. So I think this is just a logical way to be able to address those and make sure we provide a good, safe environment for everyone. I also think having an assistant deputy fire marshal is also going to be beneficial in creating a transition. So if somebody's gone, you still have somebody with expertise that's there and can work together. I think it provides that kind of a probably more continuity and a higher degree of expertise. So I think it's a great idea, and I like the idea that it doesn't cost us any more either. So no, it's a good proposal.
Thank you.
Having a business in town and having yearly fire inspections, it was, I understand why they were different every year, because different people would come. It was, the diverse responses that we had were tremendous, so it'll be nice to have one person doing it all.
Too, yeah.
Anything else? Anything from the audience? All right. Well, then we will take a vote. Those in favor of approving the request to create a deputy fire marshal position, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And the motion passes. Agenda item number 4 is to adjourn into closed session at approximately 6:30 PM pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility to consider a request for leave of absence without pay.
So moved.
Right.
I'll second.
Motion. And a
To go into
second.
closed session.
Yeah.
You're seconding?
Yes,
Okay.
willingly.
Weird.
It's not weird in personnel.
It's not a tip agreement we're
It's
talking about.
different than usual.
Any discussion? All right, a roll call vote then,
Yes.
closed session.
And Zerzua,
Aye.
Dalton,
Aye.
Shuda,
Aye.
Shore,
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
It's on your behalf.
Unanimous consent. We are in closed session.
All right,
I'll make a motion if you would like.
okay,
Madam Chair,
looking for a motion.
I move approval of the request for unpaid leave for the HR manager as needed.
Okay.
I'll
thank you.
second.
Okay,
Not bad for someone with ADD.
great job. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Just kidding.
What'd you say?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And with that, we are adjourned at 7:07 PM.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.